April 10th, 1834. Fire rages through a grand New Orleans mansion. Neighbors rush in to help, and what they find inside will haunt the city forever.
She was the toast of the French Quarter, wealthy, elegant, and respected. But behind the gilded doors of Delphine LaLaurie's mansion hid the monstrous secret behind the walls of her Royal Street mansion.
Welcome back to The Curious Past, the channel where we dig up the strange, the horrifying, and the parts of history you were never taught in school. I'm Shan.
And I'm Denny. Today we're delving into how a city's most admired socialite turned into its most notorious monster. This is the story of Madame Delphine LaLaurie.
In the early 1800s, New Orleans was a glittering gem of the South. Opulent balls, strict social rules, and of course, slavery. And at the very top of this refined chaos was Marie Delphine LaLaurie, socialite, wife, and, as it turned out, a monster in a silk dress.
Born into wealth and a respected family on March 19, 1787, Delphine married 3 times, each match elevating her status. By the 1830s, she was the queen of New Orleans high society, throwing extravagant balls in her Royal Street mansion, draped in silk and jewels.
Her mansion on Royal Street was a testament to her status. Lavish parties were held within its walls, showcasing her wealth and influence.
Publicly, Delphine cultivated an image of refinement, even appearing polite to black people and seemingly concerned for the well-being of those she enslaved.
In New Orleans, appearances were everything, and Delphine, she played her part perfectly.
But behind the glamour, whispers followed her. Whispers about the slaves who vanished from her household and the muffled screams neighbors heard at night.
Harriet Martineau, who visited New Orleans in 1836, recounted tales told by residents of LaLaurie's enslaved people appearing singularly haggard and wretched compared to others.
Then came the horrifying incident of young Leah, an enslaved girl who reportedly fell or leapt to her death from the mansion roof while fleeing LaLaurie's whip. Some accounts suggest this happened after Leah accidentally snagged Delphine's hair while brushing it, unleashing a violent rage.
The rumors grew so persistent that a local lawyer was dispatched to the LaLaurie residence to remind her of the laws concerning the treatment of enslaved people.
However, during this visit, no concrete evidence of mistreatment was found. It seemed Delphine was careful to conceal her true nature.
The truth, however, could not remain hidden forever. On April 10, 1834, a fire broke out in the LaLaurie mansion's kitchen.
When neighbors rushed in to help, they discovered the chilling reason. The 70-year-old cook, chained by her ankle to the stove, had intentionally set the blaze.
Her desperate act was a suicide attempt to escape the unimaginable horrors within, stating that enslaved people taken to the attic never came back.
Upstairs, the real horror was revealed. Hidden behind a locked attic door, they found slaves mutilated, tortured, barely alive.
Victims were suspended by the neck with their limbs stretched and torn from one extremity to the other. The live ones claimed to have been imprisoned for months.
The rescuers recoiled. The New Orleans Bee newspaper struggled to describe what they saw, but the people would find words soon enough.
The slaves were chained to walls. Some had their bones broken and reset at grotesque angles. One woman had her intestines pulled out and knotted around her waist like a macabre belt.
Another had holes drilled into her skull, possibly to stir the brain. Some had their mouths sewn shut. Others were missing limbs.
The scene suggested not just cruelty but a sadistic enjoyment of torture and, according to some interpretations, even grotesque medical experimentation.
News of the atrocities spread like wildfire, igniting the fury of the New Orleans populace. An outraged mob descended upon the Royal Street mansion, demolishing and destroying everything upon which they could lay their hands.
Amidst the chaos, Delphine LaLaurie vanished. Harriet Martineau reported that she fled by coach to the waterfront, then by boat to Mobile, Alabama, eventually reaching Paris with her family.
The rescued slaves were taken to a local jail where thousands came to witness the extent of their suffering. Tragically, reports indicated that at least 2 of those found in the attic died from their injuries.
Adding to the horror, the Pittsfield Sun, citing a New Orleans source, claimed that bodies, including that of a child, were later disinterred from the mansion grounds, suggesting a long history of hidden cruelty.
The circumstances of Delphine's death remained unclear for years. A popular legend claimed she died in a boar hunting accident in 1849. However, in the late 1930s, a cracked copper plate found in a New Orleans cemetery bore an inscription stating she died in Paris on December 7, 1842.
The true circumstances of her final days remain another layer of mystery in her dark story. But officially, she died in 1849, though some claim her evil lingered.
The LaLaurie mansion, rebuilt after the mob's destruction, stands today as a chilling landmark in the French Quarter.
Locals say it's cursed. Over the decades, tenants fled in terror, hearing screams, footsteps, chains. Even actor Nicolas Cage bought it once and quickly sold it.
Shows like American Horror Story gave Delphine a new life in pop culture, though the show's depiction often veers into sensationalism.
Some historians argue that the tales were exaggerated, stoked by abolitionist presses eager to highlight the horrors of slavery. But exaggeration doesn't mean fabrication.
The core horror remains undeniable. The documented evidence of the slaves found in her attic speaks volumes about the unimaginable suffering inflicted upon them.
LaLaurie's case forced polite society to confront what it usually ignored: the brutality embedded in the system.
Her story serves as a stark and brutal reminder of the inherent cruelty of the slavery system in New Orleans and the potential for unimaginable evil to be hidden behind a facade of wealth and social standing.
Was Delphine LaLaurie a singularly evil woman, or just the product of a world where cruelty was currency?
Either way, she lives on, in ghost stories, TV shows, and the nightmares of a city that remembers. Maybe her spirit still walks Royal Street, or maybe it never left the attic.
As you walk the streets of the French Quarter, consider the darkness that once resided within those walls and perhaps still lingers in the shadows.
If this tale gave you chills and you want more tales of twisted history, like, subscribe, and share the darkness.
Got a theory about what happened to Madame LaLaurie? Do you believe her ghost still walks Royal Street? Drop your thoughts in the comments section.
Until next time, stay curious.